everybody, welcome to my channel. I got my 11 Seed Beads of the Month Club box from Adornable Elements, and this month it's called Purple Haze. I actually originally signed up for this box because of the seed beads, and I don't know if you guys have been, my American friends at least, if you've been in the craft store looking for seed beads, but you're not getting anything these days for $2.50 or $2.25 or even $4, and certainly nothing that looks like this. So I did sign up for this because I love seed beads, and they're just so amazing. Whether you are a stringing person or a wire worker or a bead weaver, you need seed beads. But I discovered that they have a bunch of different clubs, and they will rotate them for you if you don't want to receive one a month. So now I get the check glass of the month, it's fire polish of the month. It's called the hot and trendy. There are delicate beads of the month. These are the 11 Rocaille seed beads of the month, and they have gemstone of the month, and it's a surprise every month. I don't know what I'm getting, and this month I got these beautiful seed beads. So there are 8 of them. I'm going to go through them quickly, and we're going to make 4 pairs of earrings. I've actually designed 5, but I'm going to come back in another video and do number 5. It's really cool. I'll show it to you today, but let me show you how these come. So your little insert gives you the code, and they're highly organized. They all come in these beautiful little storage containers with the number on here that corresponds to the insert, so you know exactly what you're getting. And so I'm going to go through, I'm going to lift up my little dish so you get a really good camera angle, and I'm going to start here at 6 o'clock. This is an amethyst lined crystal AB. Then we're going to go clockwise. This one is amethyst AB. This one is metallic dark variegated iris. This one is dyed smoky opal silver lined alabaster. I'm going to pause here because for my friends who get the bargain bead box, it's a very popular subscription. I review that box for you as well. This was one of the beads in the bargain bead box this month, and look at the match. It's absolute perfection. And I want to do a design. Let me get this in my hand so you can see it. I want to do a design with this bead, but when these seed beads came, oh my goodness, these are ever so pale blue, as are these, and this is just like the perfect little combination. So you may see a video on these 2 pieces because I love these from the other bead box. And that's one of the things that I've always found since I've been getting this box, is that the seed beads are so beautifully curated, but they play back to a lot of things that we all get every month. So I just thought that was really cool, and I thought I would share it for those of you that are interested in getting this or already get it. Maybe you didn't notice that. And then the next bead is so gorgeous, dyed violet silver lined alabaster. And these days I am really into really opaque saturated beads. So these are my 2 favorites, if I even have any. I actually love them all, but look at this bead. This is a matte metallic gunmetal. I just love it. You're going to see this in my projects, and this is probably my favorite one in the box. This is matte opaque mauve, which I just love that saturated. You know, I don't know, there's something, I mean, everybody loves sparkle, but there's something about these matte beads that are just really speaking to me these days. And then this is the last one, the Montana Blue Gold Luster. So all of these are $22.75, but you're saving almost $4 off the store price if you even see these beads and colors in your store, which I don't see things like this in the store. So I just love getting my Seed Beads of the Month Club. Adornable Elements does such a great job. I am going to just clean up a little bit to make some space, and it'll just be a second for you, and we're going to make some gorgeous seed bead earrings. Okay, so let me show you what I am adding in for my projects today. I have some pyrite here, and these are very organic. They are all a little bit unusual size and shape. So I have some fool's gold here, and you'll be seeing that. I'm going to be stringing on my Softflex wire. I'm using 22 gauge for mostly everything because that's what fits in the seed beads, but I have 22 gauge because I'm going to make some of my own ear wires. So I have 22 gauge as well. And I also have some 24 gauge. Also, I have some 11.0 gold Toho seed beads off to the side and a few Miyuki 8.0 gold seed beads. And what else am I using that I need to share with you? Let's see. Let's dive into this first pair because I'm using some multi-strand connectors for the tops of these earrings. And I don't have ear wires on here because I'm going to make my own, and I like to do them at the same time. So these, all my earrings are minimalist chic. And just beautiful. I love these. And the reason I saved the 5th design is because it's not really minimalist and it's a little bit more work than the ones here. But look how cool. I know that dangling earrings this way is really hard for you guys to see under the camera, but I've made my own little head pin here and done these little downward, like I love stick earrings. So this is like a mini chandelier earring. So I'm gonna lay this one out here and dump my ingredients here, and we're gonna do this one really fast. So I took some ball head pins that I have, and these are always linked in my current favorite findings because they're super fine. So they fit through all the seed beads and through like the pyrite and things. And I've just created those little patterns and done a simple loop on the top, and we have to do the center drop. Those are on either side, and so I'll show you how I do my simple loops because I know sometimes that some of you, I read the comments that simple loops are difficult for people, so I have kind of an easy way to do them, and so maybe it will help you. Also, my wire is out of my little scrap box that I throw my wire in, so I need to straighten it and kind of work with it, but I love these types of projects for using up scraps. I really don't like to waste anything. And so what I'm going to do is start out with a tiny little spiral at the end, and I'm going to do my best to match my other earring. So just look at it again. I only did like 3 coils for that spiral. It's a tiny little head pin. That looks good. So I'm going to get a hold of that little spiral that I just made and get my wire right where I stopped spiraling and just direction that straight up. So I just made a little handmade head pin. And then my bead pattern on this was 5 of these beautiful Montana blue. And then I'm spacing out my color blocks with an 8.0 gold seed bead. It just really makes everything pop. And 9 of the opaque. And I'm just spacing out these color blocks with an 8.0 gold seed bead. It just really defines the color pattern. And then I did on my center drop, I did only 3 of these opal. And really, if you like this design, you know, you could do any pattern you want, but I just kind of laid them out so that it's making the look of like almost horizontal stripes where, you know, this opal is across here, the opaque lavender here, and the Montana blue there. And then I'll show you my simple method for getting a really nice, neat, simple loop in my wire. So I'm going to hold my head pin so that my spiral is facing forward and get my wire right at the top of my bead stack and just give that a bend away from me. And then I'm going to put my round nose plier in here, and I came down to the middle of the cone because I have to get open the simple loop and attach it over this thickness of this loop. So just bring it over. Kind of looks like you're going to wrap it, and you could wrap from here. I rotate my plier, and then I'm going to bring this wire around, and center that loop. So I'm making it nice and round and also centered on my earring. And so when I take it away from here, if I were to do a wrapped loop, I would grab this right here and then wrap around. But for a simple loop, I'm going to take my cutters, my flush cutters, and come right there where the two wires meet and snip. And that gives you like a really perfect simple loop. So I'm going to open this and attach it to the center connector loop, and with my opening of my simple loop to the back of the earring. And so when my earrings are all put together, just work hard in that a little bit. I mean, that is just a perfect simple loop and easy. And when my earring is all put together, everything is seamless. All the openings are to the back. So I'm gonna, these are the same. So, and I did them exactly the same. I just did them on a fine gauge ball head pin, opening to the back, and just close it really well. Make sure it's touching, and then just get my pliers in there and work hard in a little bit. It's so dangly and flirty, but not too, you know, I don't love chandelier earrings. They have to be kind of special for me to wear a chandelier earring. But these more minimalist, you know, more dainty ones, I just love. So I have two pieces of 20 gauge wire, and I cut them exactly at the same length. And I'm going to use my 6-step veil making plier, and I'll be using the smallest step on that plier. And I'm going to come to this side and put my, come to one end of my wire, I meant to say. Let me go this way. Put my wire in there so that it's flush, and I'll be wrapping around the smallest step on the veil making plier. So I'm just going to wrap it down until it touches itself. So you can rotate, keep it in the plier, and I just made sure that my cut end is touching. And then I'm going to come to this side here, and I'm going to use the second to the largest step. I'm going to put that, let me turn it this way, put this in here so that I will be wrapping around that step that I want. I'm going to make sure that this is straight in the plier, just like that. It's nice and straight, and then I'm just going to bring this around, and I'm going to bring it so that it's pretty much touching the, you know, almost touching it. Wire bounces back. That's good though. And then I'm going to take my cutters on the flush side. I'm going to put my flush cutters so that I'm kind of looking at about 1/4 of an inch of space there from the bottom of my loop, and snip. And then I'm going to pull this out a little bit and take my flat nose pliers and put that wire about halfway and just kick that out. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on this earring, but that's my beautiful, easy little ear wire. You can take either a metal file like this. This is a little set of files and handheld bead reamers, very inexpensive, that I always link in my description box, and that works great to just remove the sharpness from your earrings. I also have, for an even more professional finish, my battery operated reamer with the wire rounder attachment inside, and that's super easy. You fit the wire in that little cup and press the button, and it is super smooth. Okay, let me get this one made. I always want to start with a nice fresh blunt cut, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put this in so that I'm using the smallest step on my bail making plier and just get that loop in there. You can rotate just so you can see what you're doing, but I just want my long wire want my loop end to touch my long wire. And then I'm going to put this in here so that I will be wrapping over the second to the largest end. I like to make sure that everything's straight in here, because then I don't have to straighten up the ear wire when I'm done forming it. And just wrap that around, bring it in so that it's touching, and then I'll come about 1/4 of an inch past my loop and snip, and pull this out a little bit like I did the other one. And same thing, put my wire in the flat nose plier about halfway, kick it out, and take the roughness off the end. And I'm going to open that and add my little mini chandelier, my minimalist chandelier earring. What I love about making my own ear wires is that the craft wire has an anti-tarnish coating, and when you buy regular, ready-made ear wires in the marketplace, they do not most of the time. And also, you can make this any way that you want. You can use the larger step if you want a big swooping hook. You can make this longer. You can do some really cool really cool shapes with your ear wire. But what I really love is the money that I save, because I can use my scraps that I don't care for working off the spool, so I do end up with scraps of wire, and I can use my scraps for this. And they're beautiful. They're not misshapen in any way. Like, I made them, so they are perfect. And that first little pair is done. And we're going to do the next pair. I love this so much, and you're going to be seeing this design again. This is the earring. It looks so simple. This is a true minimalist, kind of boho minimalist. It is so simple, and I have been wearing I put this in my ear, in my piercing. It's so cute and so comfortable. I'll definitely put this on in my try on video. And I just created a really pretty little like color blocked pattern on these, and I'm using 1 crimp bead to hold it in place. And this is 22 gauge wire. And what I have done to this, which I already did because I wanted my two to match. Let me get really close to the camera. Can you see that the end of this wire is splayed? And I'm going to show you how I did that. I have another little piece of that 22 gauge wire here, and I'll show you exactly how I did that. I'm going to bring my bench block in. I don't want to lose my crimp bead. I'll put it there. And all I did is took my wire, and I want to make sure that I have a blunt cut, because if you do a blunt, a fresh blunt cut and there's no sharpness, then when you try to splay this, and especially when you're doing 2 ear wires, you get effortlessly, you get the same look. And all I'm doing is taking my chasing hammer, and I'm just like going to hit and kind of splay it, like hit and slide out, but I don't want to go too far up the ear wire. And I do them at the same time because I find that I'm better at getting my splaying the same. And it's only 22 gauge wire, so that's just about all that you need. I did use my rubber mallet and my bench block for the finish of this earring, and I'll set that aside, but I'll show you what I use that for. And then I came back in with that little file and just take the sharpness off, because it's cut wire, and then it's been flattened, so it doesn't take much, like filing your fingernails, because you want it to be splayed but smooth, and it is. So that's all I did. And you can definitely do this on heavier gauge wire. I did the 22 gauge because of my seed beads, but as I said, I love this design so much, and this would be so beautiful with like 3mm crystals, or like microfaceted gemstones would be fabulous in this design. Very minimalist chic. I absolutely love it. So you're going to probably be seeing this again, but let me show you on the one that I did. I am just going to smooth this out, and I am going to just copy this pattern. And right now I don't remember what I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I like to work in odd numbers. So I started out with 11 of the opaque lavender seed beads, and you'll see how cool it is. The little splaying just holds it right in place. You just feed it down. It's so cool. So just checking my patterns match, and now I'm going to take a crimp bead and feed that on, and I'm going to look at my splay. My wire's still curved, but I'm going to look at my splay so that the paddle is facing forward. It's so small, you know, it's 22 gauge wire, so it almost doesn't show. But what I mean by that is that I can see that the flat side is parallel to my mat, and so I'm going to hold it like that and come to the crimp bead and just push everything down and just get that paddle that I pounded facing forward, just like that. And I'm going to close down on that crimp bead as hard as I can, and so now my beads are held into place. And then from here, I have taken one of my pairs of chain nose pliers, and I took a Sharpie marker just like this, and I made a little mark on my plier. And it's kind of thick, but what I'm going to do is put my earring in just like that. So, and using that line that I made, let me get my crimp bead facing forward, and I have my wire like centered on my mark, and so it looks just like that. And I'm going to bend this wire in that direction, and then I'm going to turn this up just like that. So, and then make sure it's centered, and then bend it in that direction. And while it's in there, I can smooth and straighten it. So that's how I got my little ear wire. And from here, you know, you can straighten and then I'm just going to match them up and trim them at the same length. And same thing, just take the roughness off of my cuts with a little metal file. I absolutely think this is so cool. This is like just a lovely everyday earring, and it's so simple and it's just beautiful. I just think it's such a cool idea. The beads just look magical. And so if you love stick earrings like I do, this is kind of a new twist on stick earrings. They're just so sweet. And when I was making them and designing them, I was thinking that, you know, a larger version would be better. Oh, and I was going to show you that one of the things I did, because this is 22 gauge craft wire, I took, and I can't remember which one I did, so I'll go ahead and do them both, but I laid this on the edge of my bench block like that, so that I'm not, let me do it this way, so that I'm not damaging my seed beads. And I just took my rubber mallet and just hit it a couple of times. I'll do this side too, and that work hardens this craft wire to like half hard. But they're just like fancy. Yeah, I can already feel that they're hardened, and I had already done, well, that's the one I did. I can feel the difference in the wire. When you've played with wire as much as I have, you'll get to where you can feel the difference. But they're so simple and so inexpensive to make. If you have gifts to make, you know, if you have a craft fair, or like even if you have like a little grab bag at your kids' or grandkids' school, those are just so great. Okay, this next pair is another love and so easy. It's another take on a minimalist stick earring, but I added chains this time, and that's where I used my fool's gold, my pyrite, and I also made these ear wires, and I changed the shape a little bit. I used the larger step on my bail making plier, and so let me dump out the ingredients for this one. So on this one, I used again those fine ball head pins, and for the one drop, I put one of these darker amethyst beads, 3 of my pyrite beads. They're so cool because they're faceted, but each one, they're a little wonky, like each one is a little bit different. Kind of reminds you, you know, that you maybe found them, you know, kind of like if you've ever, I've actually done the panning for gold, but they just add so much texture. So I did that, and then I did 2 of the gunmetal again. I loved this opaque matte gunmetal up next to the gold. There's just something so beautiful about it. And then let's see, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of my opaque lavender. And I'm going to do the same thing again here. Just make a bend, and by hand with my round nose pliers, put a simple loop. Now I don't need this to be a very big simple loop because I'm only attaching this to the bottom link of really petite chain. So I'm going to stay down on the tip of my round nose pliers and just wrap that around. Make sure the loop is neat and nice and round. And when I take it away, it is ready for a snip. And I'll go ahead and do my other pattern. Now on my other one, I had to find a really small, try to match up my piece of pyrite. So I found 2 that were a little bit small. And here at the bottom of this one, I did 3 of the gunmetal, the matte gunmetal, and then a pyrite bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 7 of my AB amethyst. If you love stringing and playing with bead patterns, these earrings are your kind of a project, because that is what I did. Is I just played in this beautifully curated stash of seed beads and just created little pattern blocks and color blocks, and it was just so fun. I always check to make sure I got them the same, and I did. And I'm going to just do another simple loop here, and I'll show you how easy these were to connect. And I did my ear wires the same way. So I'm going to open my ear wire, and I'm going to take my little length of chain. I wanted it to be askew, and I'm going to attach on the 8th link. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right there. So it looks like that, where I have 2 links of chain that are beneath the other link, just so that they would hang askew. Now I can close my ear wire and work harden and just make sure everything is nice and straight and perfect. And now I'm ready to attach my drops, my sticks. So on this one, let me make sure I'm doing it right. I did the longer stick on the longer chain. So I'm just opening that simple loop, and I'm going to come to that longest chain and add it, and here's where I make sure it's closed totally, because it is amazing with fine gauge like chain and ball head pins how the tiniest opening it can find, and the next thing you know, your earring is disconnected. Work hard in that. And my seed beads are trying to escape on this because I left that loop open a little bit, but my shorter stick gets attached to the shorter chain, and then this pair is done. I mean, a pair of earrings like this that are just dangling, you know, from your ears, but they're not like super gigantic. They just light up your face. I absolutely love, love, love these earrings. The chain that I'm using here is solid brass and e-coated for anti-tarnish from Purity Beads, and my craft wire is anti-tarnish. I would need to just brush a little bit of my anti-tarnish coating, my Permalac, just on my ball head pins and my loops, which would take less than a second, and I'll have to do the little multi-strand finding here with that as well, because it's just plated, so I want to protect the plating. But these are just absolutely, to me, these are just delightful and so fun to have the beads already put together so everything goes together. And so this is my last pair, and I am going to make another pair of ear wires for these as well. But aren't they pretty? I just had these crystals from the craft store in my stash, but you could use a dagger bead here. You could use, you know, anything you have that has a top drill. And I had a check glass fire polish bead left over from something else. It was still in my little bin of things to get put away. And I used 2 11-0 seed beads and 2 8-0 seed beads in gold just for my pattern. I wanted to mention on these as well that if you don't have like excellent quality chain like this, or scraps of chain that you want to use, you can take your smallest step on your bail making plier and take the anti-tarnish craft wire and make your own jump rings, and then connect one jump ring to the next and make a really beautiful fast chain, because you only need a few links. So that is a super easy, inexpensive way, budget friendly way to get you know, to get your chain if you need a pretty chain. And then again, like I said, I'm using scraps. Those of you that saw my autumn tree, my beaded tree, I had cut away a lot of wire from both trees and I saved all of them. So that is the wire that I'm using for this pattern. So this is 26 gauge wire or 24 gauge. I think it's 24 gauge. And so what I'm going to do is feed my crystal right on the wire and let it drop down to the center of this scrap, if I can find the hole. And then I think I did 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 7. I work in odd numbers a lot of times. They're just very pleasing to the eye when you're stringing like this. There's definitely a place for even numbers, like when I make my ring components. But when I'm just stringing patterns like this, I like the odd numbers. So I'm going to put 7 of my opaque lavender on each side of my crystal. So it just looks like that. And then I'm going to take my 6mm check glass fire polish, and I'm going to feed that on one wire and then take the other wire and feed it through in the opposite direction. I definitely have more wire than I need here, but I'm just like using up those scraps from my trees that I did. So I'm just going to pull both sides without kinking it. I'm going to go slow because I want to keep this in a nice circle. And for me, I have so little strength in my hands, so I'll get to a certain point when I get my pliers in here to help me do that final pull. There we go. So it looks like that. And now I'm going to bring these up to hug the top of my check glass bead and draw them together at the top of my check glass bead. And I'm going to give that a little twist with my pliers. Okay, once I have my nice twist in there, I'm gonna separate these wires again, and I did a little pattern with the dark, which one did I use? I think I used the lighter one. I am amazed at how fast I forget what I did when I make earrings. I should do the first earring on the video and then make the second one after, you know, but I always make samples for you guys so you can see where we're going, so you can see if you actually like the project. But I'm gonna feed on 2 of those beads on 1 wire and a gold 11-0 and 2, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the 8-0 gold that I did with the check glass round. Feed it on 1 wire and send my other wire through in the opposite direction and pull that down. And same thing here that we did. I'm going to bring those 2 wires to the top and just pinch them together above the seed bead and get my twist started with my bent chain nose pliers. And then I'll bring in my nylon jaw pliers and complete my twist. So I'm holding light tension here and kind of pulling as I twist and turning these 2 wires into a single wire that I can do a wrapped loop with. And then from here, I'm just going to match them up. I took my pliers and went on the inside and opened this a little bit so you can make this look like a teardrop. I wanted it to be more of a circle, so I just came with my pliers and opened it up a little bit and get my 2 earrings to match. And then from here, I'm going to just treat this like a single wire and do a wire wrapped loop. So 90-degree bend, round nose pliers, trim off in the back. And here's where I'll give you a sneak peek of the next earring video with these seed beads, because I did even yet another shape on my handmade ear wires. So I'm going to show you this, but we're going to do this in another video because this is done on needle and thread. But this is the cool ear wire, really contemporary, just a big swooping, and I use a different tool for that. But this is this earring. It's cylindrical and it's loopy, and I added in a few disc beads, and we'll do that one next time. But look how beautiful these ear wires are, and super simple. So I'm going to set that aside and we're going to make a pair of those ear wires. So it starts out the same way, a nice blunt cut. And I'm going to use the smallest step on my bail making plier and just bring that around so that it's touching. And I'll do this one as well. This one doesn't really need a blunt cut, but I'll do it. So I have a pretty loop in there, and then I used this gigantic bail plier, and I used the smallest step on this one, and it's the same thing. I'm going to put this in so that my loop is here, and so that I'm wrapping around the smallest step on this, and that my wire is not twisted. That if my loop is nice and straight this way, then I will have a pretty ear wire without having it askew. And I'm just going to bring it all the way around so that it touches, and then it will bounce back. And let me do this one, and then I'll trim them at the same spot. I will search for a link for this tool. I am a jewelry toolaholic and I've been making jewelry for decades, so I have all kinds of tools. If you want to get this plier, I'll try to link it for you, but you know, you can also use anything that's, you know, bigger. Like you could even wrap around like a bottle. If you need a really big mandrel, you know, you can find things. You don't have to have tools, but I love my tools. And I've collected them. So, and you know, I know that a lot of you, just because I read the comments, a lot of you are newer to jewelry and you do start collecting things. Like you start with your basics, and as time goes by and different projects appeal to you, you do start like collecting other tools. So I'm just lining these up and I'm going to cut them at the same spot. And I'm not going to kick these out at all. I'm going to actually leave these just as they are. And I just think they're very contemporary. And again, those kind of minimalist chic lines. And I'm going to pop that beautiful crystal. Like to me, these are, if you love the minimalist style, and you have to go out, you need a little bling, but you're just not a person that wears a lot of big, you know, bold, sparkly earrings. This is your minimalist glitzy earring. Aren't they sweet? Absolutely beautiful and dangly and just lovely. Honestly, you guys, these are my favorite pair. I think these are so amazing and I just love them. This is like a great everyday earring, and I am going to be doing more of this design with a little bit larger beads. I think with some gemstone beads, this would be awesome. I just love them. I'm fortunate that I don't have metal allergies, so the anti-tarnish craft wire is perfect for me. But if you do have metal allergies and this appeals to you, I can link some gold filled craft wire. I have some, and you know, it would be perfect to get that out for this type of thing. It's just, you know, I just love this. So if you love this idea but the craft wire isn't for you, maybe consider upping your game a little bit with your craft wire. And I have to thank Adornable Elements for such a beautiful box. And I wanted to ask everybody for a favor really quickly. There is an update to the YouTube algorithm, and some of you may have seen it. I've been receiving messages where it offers you a chance to hype a video. You're only allowed to do it, I think, 3 times a week, but if you would do that for one of my videos or a couple of my videos, it really helps the YouTube algorithm to say, yes, people like your content and it's quality content, and you know, it will push it out to newer people and a wider audience. Also, the simple act of giving my video a thumbs up, just tap the thumbs up, it tells the algorithm that it's quality content, you know, because you can be the best content creator and work as hard as you know how to work on quality and great designs and wonderful editing and lighting. But if the YouTube algorithm is not on your side, nobody is going to see your work. So those of you that, you know, like what you see here and you're getting ideas and inspiration and tips and tricks, that would be such a great, sweet, lovely thing for you to do. It doesn't cost you anything or literally doesn't do anything to you, but it certainly would help my channel to be seen by more people. So just ask you to do that, please, please. That would be so sweet. And I thank you so much for watching. There are links in the description box to Adornable Elements, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and set the notifications so that you receive them all. You have to tap that bell, and you know, then you won't miss when I come back, because this is a super fun, easy pair of earrings that I equally love. But there was a little bit of stringing on these, and I want to do a second version of these in that video, so I set them aside for the next video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.